Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll call the Development Committee of the DuPage County Board to order. Roll call, please.
Member Krajewski. Member Colbert. Here. Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Ozog.
Here.
Member Rutledge.
Here.
Chair Tornatori.
Here. And we have a quorum, and welcome to new members Guston, Cahill, and Galassi. Thanks for joining us. We do have one electronic public comment, which we'll move to. This is regarding a hazmat on Main Street in Glen Ellen. Comment is that the zoning board denied this hazmat initiative 6-1. Why is it even at taxpayer expense going to the development board for further consideration at the request of the petitioner? Who is the one member of the zoning board who approved of it, and why do they not object? Place this on file under whistle to be blown potentials. There are zones for specific reasons, and if this absurdity doesn't exactly define one from another to this member, then they are not qualified to hold the position. Okay, thank you very much for your comment. Moving on to approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of November 15th.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to regulatory, I'll entertain a motion on action item 6A. This is a request for a time extension of the conditional use for Z20-028, the Maywood Sportsman's Club.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on this? This is just an extension of time based on some issues they've had with IDOT, my understanding. Okay. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any old business? Do we have any new business? For those new members, we usually move this quickly, but without objection, we're adjourned. So we will now move on to the administrative hearing, administrative appeal hearing. I will call the administrative appeal hearing of DuPage County Board to order, and roll call, please.
Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Krajewski. Member Colbert. Here. Member Ozog.
Here.
Member Rutledge.
Here.
Chair Tornatori.
Here. And we have a quorum. I'm going to just make, there are two people who wish to speak in public comment, but I'm just going to make one kind of general global statement here. An application for an appeal may be made when an aggrieved party feels the intent of the code has been met, a code requirement has been incorrectly interpreted, or that substitute design, protective assembles, or systems will provide an equally good or better form of construction. At no time shall an appeal request a full or partial waiver of any life safety system that is prescribed by this code. One other item I would like to bring to the attention of the Appeals Committee is that the issue before us today deals with property that is in Bloomingdale Township. Bloomingdale Township and the town board called a town meeting approximately 5 or 6 weeks ago, of which I was a moderator. I did not vote, nor did I comment or answer any questions regarding the issue. I make that statement in full transparency. I believe that I can impartially chair this meeting today. If anyone feels otherwise, please let me know, and I will deal with it accordingly. I see no one, so apparently so I can do this. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. We have two public comment. We have Melanie, is it Chico? Okay, from Vertical Bridge. Okay, public comment is generally limited to 3 minutes per person. So if you wish, we'll go on to the public comment, and then we will move on to the appeal process where whoever is going to make the appeal, we will go through swearing in regarding testimony, et cetera. So go ahead, Melanie.
I'm actually the attorney for Vertical Bridge.
Okay.
I'm gonna present their position with respect to
Okay,
the actual.
so you'll kind of like want to waive the public comment portion? Okay. Move it. The next person is Michael Havdi, Bloomingdale Township Supervisor. Mr. Hovde, you're on for 3 minutes if you wish to make any comment.
Sure. And first, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to congratulate everyone who was sworn yesterday. It was a wonderful ceremony and historic. So congratulations. I am Michael Hovde. I'm the Bloomingdale Township Supervisor, and just a few public comments. The subject of this permit is property that the township believes is our road right of way. And an access permit was issued by our former highway commissioner in 2020. It expired a year later. That bond was refunded to the applicant in December of 2021, and the check was cashed in 2022, so there's no valid access permit for the township for this property. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes the public comment portion of this hearing.
I do have a public comment.
Okay, you didn't sign in, sir. What's your name?
Last name is Sharma, S-H-A-R-M-A.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Sharma. What do you have to say? And
All right.
are you here on this issue?
No, I'm on a different issue that's going to be coming up shortly to you.
Well, then unfortunately, we're in an administrative appeal hearing. The time for public comment on the development committee is expired. I don't want to get sidetracked. If you want to wait until after we're done, we'll take your public comment. Okay, moving on to the administrative appeal hearing, we have one action item. It's a request for appeal of the building official's decision regarding revocation of permit T69474. The way we're going to proceed is as follows. We're going to have our Jim Strand from the building department present the county's position on this. Then we will have the attorney for the petitioner present their position. If there's going to be any testimony of sorts from anybody other than the two of you, then we would swear them in, but you both being parties to the issue, I don't think we need to do that at this time. So Jim, if you want to begin.
Sure. First, thank you. So what we're here for today is a Building Board of Appeals hearing. We, excuse me, on November 23rd, we received a notification from Vertical Bridge, people who have applied for the cell tower, that they wanted to appeal my decision of a revocation of the permit. The basis for that was in the original application process, there was a bond provided, a bond receipt provided to us that they had paid a bond to the township for access. Our building code section 8-112.6, access drive and culverts, requires, before I can issue a permit, that we have either a receipt in our permit, which indicates that they paid a bond to the township, or a waiver issued by the township that no bond was required. We issued a permit in July of this year to Vertical Bridge to issue or to construct a cell tower. We were notified after that was issued that the bond had in fact expired and the township had refunded their $500. So as a result, they didn't meet the permit requirements. We were forced to revoke the permit. We went to the site. They were at that time, I believe, staking it out for future development. Asked the gentleman to leave and issued violation notice that there was a permit, no permit issued. They would have to get a new bond from the township in order to get the permit reinstated and continue construction. I don't want to get too far into the reasoning behind it, but our basis is simply this. There is an unimproved road right-of-way issue up there and an improved roadway issue. The county's feeling, or position, not feeling, is that coming off of the improved road right-of-way, you have to have a bond, regardless of what happens with their unimproved road right-of-way. So they don't have one to leave the pavement, and therefore we can't issue a permit. So the permit was revoked.
Okay, does any member of the committee have any questions of Jim? Okay, so if I can sum it up, our code provides in order for a permit to be issued, there needs to either be a bond or a waiver of that bond. Is no bond, there is no waiver, therefore the permit can't be issued, and therefore that was the basis for the revocation. Correct?
Yes.
Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Sam. What's the problem with getting another bond?
That is an issue between Vertical Bridge and the township. We're not party to what's happening up there. They're having something to do with the unimproved road right of way. I believe there is a question of who owns the unimproved road right of way. But our position is you're leaving the approved road right of way. So you have to have a bond to leave regardless of who owns the unimproved area. Even if the township owns it, then you're leaving their property to go onto yours. If you own the unimproved, you're leaving the township's road to go into the unimproved right of way. Either way, I don't have a bond in my file that's active or current. So we issued it under the pretext that the bond that we had was current. We weren't aware that it had been expired. When we became aware of it, we had to revoke the permit because it didn't meet our requirements.
Any other questions? Okay, does that conclude the testimony from the,
If you have more questions for me later.
okay, council, it's Chico, right? Okay. Do you have anyone other than yourself that's going to be
No, we
presenting
don't have
anything? Okay, then go ahead. I will allow you to present whatever it is that you wish regarding the issue. I'd like to, and I will give you as much latitude as possible. However, I'd like to narrow it to the issue as to whether or not the county erred in the revocation of the permit. Quite frankly, anything that has to do
Is it okay if
between.
I sit at the table? so-
Absolutely,
Not everyone has to
absolutely. No, I don't want you to
Yeah,
sit over there in the deep seats. We're gonna get you right up front.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Melanie Chico. I am an attorney representing Vertical Bridge in this matter. Speaking directly to the issue you raised regarding the building code, which requires the posting of the bond, which the township has refused to accept or even a permit for a new bond. That provision states that the bond has to be given by the highway authorities having jurisdiction. The issue here is the township does not have jurisdiction over this property, doesn't own this property. This is a private area that is owned by the corporation, which entered into a lease with my client, Vertical Bridge, to build a cell tower. This was challenged by certain members of the corporation who live in that area in a lawsuit, which was dismissed with prejudice. And now they've taken a political angle in terms of going to the township to try and block our ability to build this cell tower. So this has already been, in terms of the authority of the corporation to enter into this lease, that's been adjudicated legally. Back in 2020, the township actually had granted the permit. They then revoked it, refunded the bond, and now refuse to even consider it. So our position is that is a dispute that our client is having with the township, which is going to be adjudicated again in court. But that should not bear on whether a building permit for the cell tower site is appropriate here.
Does that conclude your?
Yes.
Okay, so, all right, I'll entertain questions. Vice Chair Garcia.
I just wanted to give, so clarification is basically you're saying that they will not give you your bond in township, but our code specifically requires that to be done, from what I'm understanding from Mr. Strand. So I don't understand how we would be able to give a permit. I'm just trying to understand if we don't have the access bond. I think this is an issue you have with the township and not with the county. So that's what I'm kind of a little confused. So if you can clarify that, how you think that this.
Unfortunately, we're in a catch-22 here with the situation where the county's taking the position that we need to get the bond from the authority. Again, the code says from the highway authorities having jurisdiction. We're disputing that the township has any jurisdiction or needs to even issue a permit for this area because it is private property.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from members of the committee? From members of the committee? I think because it's an appeal process, we're gonna leave it for members of the committee. Okay, I have a couple of questions. Has there been a suit to quiet title on this property to determine who actually owns the property that you're alleging need not require a bond?
There's not been a lawsuit filed on that issue yet.
Notwithstanding the allegation from your client that no bond is necessary, there was in the past an application for a bond made, was there not?
Correct,
And there was ultimately a bond given it that was expired.
correct.
So your position today is different than it would have been at some time in the past.
At that point, our client believed that they did need to request the permit. And now looking further at the history of the plat and the ownership of this area, that the township does not own this access area.
Okay, well, I'll ask any members of the committee if they want to have any further comment on this.
Just,
Relish.
may I thank you, Sam? So if the township doesn't, who does?
The corporation.
Okay.
We entered into the lease with the corporation to use this access, what I'm calling the access area, to get to the area where they're building the cell tower site. Our position is they own that area, the township does not own that area, therefore it's a private piece of land. We don't need any sort of access permit from the township. It's not a land that's owned by them.
Do you have any maps that show that?
I do. This is a Google image, just to give you a satellite overview. So this is Spring Valley Drive and Glendale Road. This here is the access area. So it's unimproved area that's grass. It's not a road that's being used by the public. Cell tower site is just south of that. Then I'm going to show you the original plat that was recorded in 1955 by Branniger. This is going to be very difficult to see. Here's Spring Valley Drive. Again, this is the access area I'm talking about to reach the cell tower site. It says 66-foot easement for future road. And there's a dashed line on this original plat indicating that it's part of the property of lot 171 to the south. Vertical Bridge's position is it does not need a permit to build a construction road on land that is not owned by the township here.
But the township is establishing ownership. They're saying that they own it, correct?
They're asserting that.
Okay, they're asserting that.
And that was my question. I mean, when it says it's for future road, I know in areas that I live nearby, you know, there are things that are for future roads, even though they haven't been a road in 50 years. They're still owned by the village. So this seems like this is actually would be owned by Bloomingdale and would be the access.
Bloomingdale Township.
Of Bloomingdale Township.
And
And,
that it was meant to be an extension of Spring.
correct. So that seems to be, and who's maintaining the grass all in that
The
area?
corporation. Basically the landlord that Vertical Bridge is leasing this area for to build the cell tower site. They're maintaining the grass and their members that live in this area routinely cross into that area. With respect to your point about the language on the plat, there's only two ways for the governmental entity to obtain the actual dedication of this area, which would be, it has to be clear on here, and it will usually say for public use, for government use, as opposed to just for future road or through a condemnation action.
Okay, and if I can, I'm a little uncomfortable with trying to litigate who owns what property, given the fact that we haven't had any testimony from the township regarding that. So if we can narrow the issue to whether or not the permit was properly issued or not issued in this case, I think it's more appropriate if that's okay with the committee. So I Council, I understand your position, and I think that if there was a definitive, from my standpoint, a definitive statement from a judge or otherwise that said the property is not owned by anyone other than your client, then I think the permit would, could, should be issued. But I don't know that that's clear right now, and I think that, you know, this committee can't make that judicial determination. We don't have jurisdiction to decide who owns what kind of property. We either can issue a permit or we can't issue a permit. One of the bases for it is a bond or a waiver of the bond. We don't have it. Therefore, it wasn't given. So do we have anything else from any member of the committee?
I just agree with you. So I think,
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll entertain, because we do everything in the affirmative, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request for an appeal regarding the decision regarding revocation of permit number T69474. Do we have a motion to approve that request for an appeal for purposes of the vote?
So moved.
Second.
So there's a motion and there's a second, just so we understand that a vote aye or in the affirmative would be in favor of Vertical Bridge to allow the appeal. A no vote would be to uphold the county's position that a permit should not be issued. Everybody understand? Okay. Call roll, please.
Member Garcia,
No, nay.
Member Ozog,
No.
Member Covert,
No.
Member Rutledge,
No.
Chair Tornatori,
No. And the motion to for the appeal is denied. Council, you know what your next steps are, I'm sure.
Thank you.
But thank you for coming in. I don't believe we have any further business under this. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the administrative appeal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
You need the blue copies back.
Sam.